Hi, my name is Kai, and this happened when I was about 7 years old. I was walking with my mother and her friend as the sun began to set. After walking for a while, we decided to head back home. By then, the sun had completely disappeared and it was dark. As we walked on the sidewalk, I decided to walk ahead of my mother and her friend. I don't know why I did it. Maybe I just wanted to feel a little more independent. But soon, after I walked away from them, I heard a door behind me swing open and slam against the house. A man stepped out and started walking in my direction on the same sidewalk. At first, I didn't think much of it, but after a while, I noticed he was still behind me. My young mind started imagining all kinds of scary scenarios, and fear slowly crept in. I turned around to get a better look at him. He had curly hair, a mustache, an odd-looking sweater, and old glasses. He noticed me looking at him, but kept walking closer. My heart started racing. I decided to cross the street to the other sidewalk, hoping it was just a coincidence. But my heart sank when I saw him do the same. When he reached the sidewalk I was on, he quickly looked around as if checking to see if anyone was watching. Then, he continued following me. He was getting closer and closer, and my fear grew stronger. But then, I saw my mother on the opposite sidewalk. Without thinking twice, I sprinted toward her. As I reached her, I turned around and saw the man glaring at me over his shoulder with wild, angry eyes. Then, suddenly, he turned and ran away, slamming the door behind him. When we got home, I told my mom what had happened. At first, I thought she didn't believe me, but years later, I found out that she did. She just didn't want to scare me. Many years after that incident, I went back to the house where the man had come from. I knocked on the door, but an old couple answered. I pretended it was a mistake and walked away. My friends and I also saw a man who looked like him one day while walking home from school. He was sitting in an old, rusty purple car. Curious, we walked up to the car and looked through the window. The back seats had been removed, and inside were saws, hammers, and other tools. To this day, I still wonder what would have happened if I hadn't run back to my mother, or if I had kept walking alone. Another strange thing happened when I was 15. One night, I was driving home with my dad after visiting a friend. It was late, and the only lights on the road came from our car and the street lights. The night was quiet, and not many people were out. As we approached a roundabout, we saw something in the distance. At first, we thought it was a bird, but it was too big. It had a human-like body, something neither my dad nor I had ever seen before. As we got closer, it suddenly spread its massive wings and flew away. Shocked, I turned to my dad and asked, "Did you see that? Or am I just imagining things?" His face was pale, his eyes wide with fear. He had seen it too. We drove home in silence. When we arrived, we told my brother, but he just laughed and brushed it off. For a long time, I couldn't stop thinking about that night. A year later, we came across a YouTube channel discussing supernatural creatures. One video caught our attention. As we watched, we realized something. We had seen the Mothman. People have reported sightings of it all over the world, but never in our town. Why was it here? Why did it let us see it? The thought still terrifies me to this day, knowing it might still be out there, lurking. When I was about 8, I had another terrifying experience. One evening, my parents had to leave town for a wedding. It was around 7 p.m. and I was going to be home alone. Before leaving, my parents told me to lock the door and not open it for anyone. They said they'd be back by 11 or 12 and wanted me to be asleep when they returned. I said goodbye, locked the door, and went back to playing in my room. Everything was fine until I suddenly felt uneasy, like someone was watching me. I tried to ignore it. 2 hours passed, and I got hungry. I went to the kitchen and started pulling things out of the fridge: onions, cucumbers, tomatoes. But that feeling of being watched returned. Again, I shrugged it off. As I was cutting vegetables, I noticed something from the corner of my eye. I turned my head and froze. Standing in the shadows was a tall gray creature with dark eyes and a bald head. It didn't look human at all. It saw me looking at it, and then it vanished. I was completely frozen, unable to move or think. After a few minutes, I forced myself to clean up and check around the house, but I was just 8 years old. I didn't fully understand what I'd seen. I checked the time. It was past 10. I changed into my pajamas, brushed my teeth, and went to bed. I fell asleep quickly, but a few hours later, I woke up with a strong feeling that someone was watching me. I sat up, and suddenly, my shoulder felt heavy, as if something was pushing it down. I thought it was just a reflex. But why would it happen at that moment? Then, I looked toward my doorway and saw the creature again. It stood there staring at me. We locked eyes for what felt like 3 long minutes. My body was frozen with fear. Finally, I let out a scream and started crying. Right at that moment, my parents arrived home. My dad rushed into my room, asking what was wrong. I pointed at the creature, but he couldn't see it. And then, just like before, it disappeared. After that night, I never saw it again. I hope I never do. I'm just thankful my parents came home when they did. But sometimes, I wonder, what if they hadn't? What would have happened to me? Friends, if you enjoyed these real-life horror stories, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And stay safe, because you never know what might be lurking in the dark.